It has recently come to my attention that Jon Amari is running for judge, and I believe that this is a terrible idea. My experience with Jon Amari is, number one, he didn't show up to court. I mean, it's that simple. I get arrested for a crime I never committed. And when I got out of jail, first thing I do is walk down to the courtroom. And they said, hey, you're supposed to be in court today. How do I know that? Well, apparently Jon Amari can't keep track of court dates. And without me just happening to show up, I would have gone straight back to jail. So then Jon Amari finally shows up. My father has to force him to tell me that he cannot beat my case. He's not freely telling me that he can't beat my case. My father has to basically force him to tell him that I cannot beat my case. And I've never seen a look in a man's eye like that. It was like my father made him look like a 5-year-old child again, which is incredible. And so I don't want this guy as my lawyer, but I have another relative who insists that this guy needs to be my lawyer. A couple months later, the case gets dismissed. That's what he tells me. Then I get rearrested. So all my trust in Jon Amari is gone because, number one, he tells me he cannot beat my case. Number two, he's not showing up to court. Number three, I'm getting rearrested again. Also, another thing that's happening at this time is I'm getting this police officer calling me, telling me he's my parole officer, when imagine more than likely, it's probably Marvin Neal. I cannot think of another person on this planet that could possibly be. So Marvin Neal is calling, pretending like he's my parole officer, which is automatically legal corruption. The case should be dismissed immediately. But Jon Amari's like, no, we're not doing anything against the police officers because we're not going to step on that territory. Okay. I don't trust the guy. This is going on for months. And I'm told by this relative that, I'm sorry, you have to trust this guy. You have to give him everything. So I give Jon Amari all the evidence to beat this case. First thing he does, he looks underneath the table to see if he's being tape recorded or not. He comes back to the room. He's like, oh, well, the prosecutor, her career, yada, yada, yadas. And I'm like, so you don't want to beat my case. You have all the evidence, but you don't want to beat my case. And the only thing is it's whether or not I had my arm wrapped around somebody's forehead. That's the beginning of the case. That's the end of the case. And the crazy thing is the person who's accusing me of this crime, she clawed her face. You have photographs of her clawing her face. And you can see I don't have fingernails. So this woman is willing to assault herself to accuse me of a crime I never committed. And the only reason I made up a confession was to stop her from murdering my son. And Jon Amari will never understand what that level of courage is. Does not have that. Somebody who's that much of a coward will never understand that level of courage. So the case is dragging on and on. I don't believe he can beat the case. I have to go through family court now because I'm trying to reason with Olivia, which if I just had a lawyer who had control of the case in the first place and had a grasp on it, I wouldn't have to try to reach out to this person. So I feel like I have no other option than to plead with this case for a crime I never committed. This whole thing is like, oh, well, right from the jump, Jon Amari's this guy, I'm all about supporting the victim. Doesn't matter my innocence. He's like, I'm all about supporting somebody who says they're a victim because I've worked on both sides. And he comes up with, and I'm pretty sure he made up this whole story about how he's always helped the underdog. And yeah, it's just nonsense. And I know that right from the jump. And so I'm blasting all these things on social media because I believe there's nothing I can do. The case is done with. And then one of my family members calls me and says, oh, the court case has been appealed. The problem is that I've always seen this family member, this relative, as incompetent, that everything they say is inaccurate. Everything I've ever known this person to say is inaccurate. So I'm assuming that Jon Amari is once again lying. I have no other reason than just to believe Jon Amari is bluffing again. So this person, upset with me, Olivia finally lets me see my son. She's like, I had no idea that signing this paper that the prosecutor and Jon Amari told me to sign was going to ruin your life, that it was going to make you homeless, it was going to put you in financial despair. I mean, I probably lost $2 million in a career that I would have spent my time with. I lost a chance to see my children. And the thing is I'm innocent, and it was such an easy case to beat. And I know this. And I knew this right from the beginning. If I had the means to get a different lawyer, I would have gotten him from day one. I think having Jon Amari as a judge would be a mistake, because I believe that Jon Amari would only protect the lawyers, that he would only protect the police officers, no matter how corrupt they were. And we need a judge that will be about protecting the people, about innocent people, and not having their lives torn apart over such frivolous accusations. Me putting my arm around somebody's forehead caused me to be homeless, despair, lose my career, lose a chance to see my children and be a part of their life. And with that, I am begging you, please do not vote for Jon Amari.